Some news from overseas. Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un just signed an agreement that pledges mutual aid if either country faces aggression. Yep, Kim Jong-un and Putin made it official. Then they got a text from Trump that said, "Threple?"
It's true, Vlad the Impaler was meeting with Kim Jong-un, and North Korea, Russia, Iran, and China are ganging up on the United States. And we've got Joe Biden over here, weekend at Bernie's boy, Mr. Sock Puppet, and we're in deep. And we've got an open border, and from Mauritania to the killer, rapist, murderers from Ecuador and El Salvador and beyond, the Democrats are making everything better. This is their version of making everything better. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Yes, 888-630-9625. And we're standing by. Today, we're expecting the Supreme Court to make public their decisions regarding President Trump immunity. It's presidential immunity. And there's an abortion bill. And you know how the Democrats love abortion. Boy, if they could have an abortion every day, they would. To them, it's like eating food. For some of us, we want to eat every day, maybe even more than once a day. Democrats, let's club them all to death, the little babies like they're baby harp seals. They're really not on our side. So major rulings, ABC News standing by. Supreme Court cases, abortion, gun, and Trump rulings, all expected from the people at Axios. And we are standing by. We're expecting that this will take place while we're on the air. And we will share the news and information with you as it becomes available to us. The Supreme Court is about to drop a string of blockbuster rulings with abortion rights, gun rights. I'm surprised they use the word rights after guns. They usually just use it after abortion. And the Justice Department case against former President Donald Trump, all hanging in the balance. Now, remarkable stuff. And they've got a thing here. 2 years after the overturn of Roe v. Wade. They're really, really upset about that. Yet last year, we had the highest number of abortions in 12 years, more than 1 million. And the Democrats like, hey, good start, good start. Of course, they're shooting people all over the place, too. Democrat Party is, they're not, when we say they're not pro-life, that is generous understatement. And questions about some justices' ethics and impartiality at a fever pitch. That is the left wing waging war against the Supreme Court because their nominees to the court do not dominate anymore. The court is squarely in the center of the election year politics because the Democrats' dangerous, violent gang of loons. What was the name of the would-be assassin that, we all know George Floyd's name, a career criminal junkie who died of heart failure while resisting arrest after committing yet another felony because of all the fentanyl and methamphetamine in his system. But he's a hero of the Democrat Party. His brother was standing there hugging Joe Biden at the White House the other day on their poorly timed Juneteenth celebration, missed it by a week. Never mind that, where Joe Biden froze up and they had that transgender guy with a beard and a full-length sequence gown and high heels on the south lawn of the White House. You really don't want to be walking on the lawn in high heel pumps, know what I mean? But the Democrats inspired a would-be mass murderer who wanted to murder 3 Supreme Court justices, and the guy was arrested outside Brett Kavanaugh's home because Chuck Schumer's going over to the Supreme Court yelling, "You will reap the whirlwind, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch," and he's threatening them. And then this Democrat came to Washington heavily armed with burglary tools and kidnapping tools and a pistol with multiple magazines, planning on killing several Supreme Court justices. And you know what the Democrat Party's response is? To turn up the heat on the Supreme Court, because the left likes to get people killed everywhere in the world. That's your Democrat Party today in the United States. So we are standing by for Supreme Court decisions. What was the animal's name, the Democrat? Yeah, Rotke, Nicholas Rotke. He was the Democrat that came from across the country to murder Supreme Court justices, and the Democrats' response is to turn up the heat on the Supreme Court. The court has 23 cases left to decide in this session, will likely hand down all of those opinions by the end of the month, give or take a few days. Axios is typing on behalf of the Democrat Party, meaning the next week or so may redefine the limits of presidential power for generations to come. Well, there will be a Supreme Court decision. That's our system of government, which they hold in profound contempt. Aren't they amazing? There is no bigger blockbuster in the mix than former President Trump's claims of absolute immunity from criminal prosecution. And this has Barack Obama's wingman very upset. His wingman, Eric H. Holder Jr., who was Attorney General, he was held in contempt of Congress, which is fine because it's consequence-free, just like the third world hellhole that we are becoming, thanks to the left. But Eric H. Holder Jr. was on MSDNC yesterday, same thing, saying, oh, no, they can't give immunity to Trump because we're a lynch mob on horseback with a rope.
A president can violate the American criminal law if he or she is doing something in their official capacity. That is an absurd and dangerous conclusion. And I'm worried, given the length of time that it has taken for the Supreme Court to decide this case, that something along those lines might come out of the Supreme Court.
He's very worried. He's the guy, when he was Attorney General, he said, I'm the Barack Obama's wingman. I'm his wing. And the media said, yay, the chief law enforcement officer is the president's wingman. But if Bill Barr, as Attorney General during Donald Trump, made it sound like he was in favor of Trump's position, the media wanted to lynch him with a rope and a tree on horseback, which is a Democrat Party tradition. That's the thing about the Democrat Party. Amazing stuff. So that may be one of the decisions that comes down today. We shall see. And there are more, but the news media is really obsessed with this one because of TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. Just amazing. These people, can I say these people? You people. What is the matter with you people? Amazing. In the meantime, there are lots of things going on in the country that may make sense that also infuriate the Democrat Party. For example, in fact, here's an MSDNC. I'll use their hate-filled little screed about this. Louisiana has a new law on posting the 10 Commandments in schools, and the godless after-school Satan Club Democrat Party, and they are a godless party, and they are an after-school Satan Club party. They are, of course, furious, beside themselves. They'll tell you that this violates the First Amendment because it's not the free exercise of religion. They believe that they must restrict your free exercise of religion. If you're a high school football coach wants to say a quick prayer after a football game, so, because all your kids go home uninjured today, then they'll try to prevent you from saying a prayer. Well, this is public property. Yeah, and that's where the Bill of Rights protects you, and at home too. But never mind that. So here's their anger screed, and why Louisiana's radical new law on 10 Commandments, schools matters, why it matters. The amazing Supreme Court has said the 10 Commandments displays in public schools are unconstitutional. A left-wing lawsuit that was brought some time ago. Louisiana Republicans passed a new law on this anyway, and the Democrats just worshiped Satan, and they're frothy, and they're sharpening their horns with files and assailing children in the schoolyard, trying to change their genders. So, in recent months, a handful of Republican-dominated states have flirted with the idea of government-sponsored religious displays in public school classrooms. Though those efforts ultimately fell short, and NBC News reported, however, GOP officials in Louisiana actually followed through on the idea. How dare they? And they're furious. You can hear the rage in their voices. Louisiana has become the first state to require that the 10 Commandments be displayed in every public school classroom under a bill Republican Governor Jeff Landry signed into law. And he signed it on Wednesday, yesterday. The GOP draft drafted legislation mandates that a poster-sized display of the Ten Commandments in large, easily readable font will be in all public classrooms from kindergarten to state-funded universities. Private universities, no, but state-funded universities, yes. And they're absolutely furious about this because they want to have everybody go to after-school Satan Club. And actually, there was a story a couple of weeks ago where they wanted to move after-school Satan Club to the classroom during school hours because they are the party of Satan. Amazing stuff. Yes, sir. And the Democrats are furious, of course, very, very angry. There is a left-wing group called the American Civil Liberties Union that used to stand up for civil liberties, but are now just another left-wing front group. They say the law violates the separation of church and state and is blatantly unconstitutional. The First Amendment promises that we all get to decide for ourselves what religious beliefs, if any, to hold and practice. Yeah, that's true. Without pressure from the government. Where's the pressure? And you guys have after-school Satan Club. Politicians have no business imposing their preferred religious doctrine on students, unless it's atheism, and families in public schools. Sure, that's so that's going on now, and that is an interesting. They're going to fight it. They might self-immolate. That could be good. So Louisiana classrooms now required by law to display the Ten Commandments. CNN headline: They're furious. And new law requires all Louisiana public school classrooms to display the Ten Commandments. Really angry, very, very angry about all of that, aren't they? Yes, they are. I am telling you. And that's not all, because there is another fun story out of schools, and that is the Los Angeles Unified School District. Perhaps you've heard of them. The nation's second largest school system, banning cell phones. Now they got a mandate on one side, a ban on the other, and the ban on phones is. I'm not really big on mandates, and I'm not big on bans, but at this point, you got to pick a fight with these animals with their after-school Satan Club and all this stuff, because they're not on our side. When I say our side, I mean civilization, side of civilization. Just amazing. But remarkable story out of Los Angeles as well. Los Angeles School Board will ban students from using cell phones during the school day, but questions loom about how to do it. And it's because we're raising generations of kids who don't learn anything in school, sit there on their phones the whole time. They're not socialized. They don't know how to interact with people. There was a great story I did about a month ago, and we did it on Newsmax, on my Newsmax TV show also, about an experiment done at school where they took the cell phones away from kids for about 3 weeks, and the kids told they told each other, yeah, this is a real bummer. I want my phone back. And then they were asked about it by adults, and they said, it's kind of amazing. I'm having conversations with people. I've made new friends. We're interacting because cell phones kill socialization when you're talking about children. So the LA School District doing something very, very interesting, and it's already getting traction around the country with other school districts. There are miracles of technology, the phones, and they have murdered civil society. This month marks 2 years since Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court. But did you know that the number of abortions actually increased the following year? Because in 2023, the number of abortions reached the highest level since 2012, more than 1 million. The abortion pill accounts for a majority of those, but there's a great organization called Preborn. Preborn continues to stand strong for women in crisis and at-risk babies. Preborn is a ministry of compassion that showers women and their babies with God's love, providing free ultrasounds to mothers with unplanned pregnancies to show them the precious life growing inside of them. And when a mother sees her baby in an ultrasound, hears the baby's heartbeat, could be twice as likely to let that baby go on to live a long and happy life. If you have the means, would you please consider maybe a leadership gift to preborn to help save babies in a big way. Your tax-deductible donation of $5,000 will sponsor ultrasounds for preborn's entire network across the country for an entire day, 24 hours, to help rescue 200 unborn babies. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250 on your cell phone, and when prompted, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, the keyword is baby. Or you can donate securely online at preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. They went to the Stansted Airport and spray-painted private jets there today. Just Stop Oil spray-painted private jets, and they targeted Taylor Swift's plane. And they spray-painted with orange, same stuff. It may or may not be Taylor Swift's private jet, according to reports. Daily Mail says, well, maybe it is her jet, maybe it's not, but they're going around vandalizing people's private jets. Philip, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Morning, Chris.
Hey, Philip.
Just like to say, good morning, Chris. Just like to say it's amazing. They got these kids screwed up, spray painting big oil, stop big oil. The spray paint they had to make oil with, the can they had to make oil with. Their transportation back and forth took oil to make. Everything in their lives took oil. And if you close up the oil holes, they explode. So, I blame Common Core education.
Honestly, it's so great because we were sitting here. I'm talking about yesterday spray painting just stop oil or whatever, and then attacking private jets in England, and we're talking about it, and it's very funny because Brian texted me. They wouldn't be able to spray paint anything without oil, and then I looked on the big board over here, Philip, and I saw you. It takes oil to make spray paint. And
takes oil to make everything. They got these kids so screwed up. I swear it's the dumbest generation. I'm 52, and I thought my generation were stupid people. Oh my God, it's horrible.
We really are circling the drain as a culture, aren't we?
Yes, we are. You have a good day, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Good stuff. See, Chicago, common sense, just right to the point. It's like, he's got something else to do because he's working. He's got to pay taxes, to keep the world going round. Amazing. That's right. So they're attacking these lunatics, these mental cases. They're attacking private jets because they use oil. They're attacking them with spray paint, which, is another petroleum product. Everything is a petroleum product. Just amazing. Just Stop Oil protests. Amazing.
It's Cole. I'm 22, and I've just sprayed 2 private jets orange. We need an international treaty against the burning of all oil, coal, and gas.
They're not
While
bright.
People are starving, the elite and the rich fly thousands and thousands of feet in the air above us all.
You're welcome.
Millionaires are not untouchable.
Millionaires, is it millionaires or billionaires? Billionaires are not untouchable. Maybe you should find employment of some kind, make an actual contribution to society. But that seems unlikely, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Amazing. There. Just Stop Oil. It is so great. If I had spent a moment thinking about it, I'm sure I would have arrived at, it's yet another petroleum product. But instead, I typed on my keyboard here, which is a petroleum product, and the plasma screen in front of me, which is a petroleum product, and a plasticine frame, which is a petroleum product. And, I got a fuzzy thing on my microphone here, which is a petroleum product. Isn't that amazing? And I picked up my Skillcraft U.S. government pen, another petroleum product. Amazing. Checked my watch, which is a rubber Casio watch, almost entirely petroleum product. And she's complaining about jets flying overhead because, the patriarchy has created human flight. Isn't that extraordinary? You're welcome. Just sit over there and maybe we'll bring you some food after a while. Our Democrat Party. Aren't they amazing? I'm telling you. there is an illegal alien crime wave, thanks to Joe Biden and the Democrats, going on across the United States of America with murders and mayhem and rapes of little girls, and at Machete Point being held hostage, which is kidnapping, and I believe that the creep has been charged with kidnapping. Just extraordinary stuff. But and also this matters. Today, we're 1 week away from the presidential debate, which is next Thursday between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And the news media, they've got their panties in a wedge about that. Oh, it's going to be, you got geniuses like Maggie Haberman. Oh, it's going to be mean. And if Joe Biden brings up Donald Trump being convicted by a Democrat lynch mob in New York, then Trump's going to bring up Hunter Biden being convicted of 3 felonies, which is that was a much harder sell. He got that sweetheart deal, you remember, from a friend of the Biden family, because they're very corrupt. So we got lots of things going on. But let me share with you, because the Supreme Court did come down with a thing or two, but nothing that you're going to talk about at the dinner table tonight, because the big decisions are still pending. The Supreme Court upholds Trump-era tax rule on foreign income. The first case is Moore v. the United States, Moore versus the United States, which deals with whether a one-time tax on Americans who hold shares in foreign corporations is legal. The tax was created under the 2017 tax code, and that was a big overhaul of the tax code, enacted under Donald Trump, then President of the United States. In a 7-2 vote, the court held that the tax is legal. The tax is legal. Now, the two that voted against it, I can't speak to, just getting the headlines, at least not yet, just getting the headlines right now. The second Supreme Court decision of today is Ciavarini versus the city of Napoleon, Ohio, which deals with situations in which someone who believes they have been wrongfully charged may bring a malicious prosecution claim. I think that President Trump might be keeping an eye on this Supreme Court decision. This is one of the lower profile cases that the court dealt with today. And the ruling is too complicated to get into in a simple paragraph or two. But I'll keep my ear to the ground on it for you. And also, the Supreme Court issued 2 more opinions, both on comparatively obscure matters, and is now done releasing decisions of the day. One of the less relevant was Diaz versus the United States, which centered on a drug trafficking prosecution. Oh, sure, Diaz and drug trafficking, sure, racist, and dealt with an expert witness testimony. The second case was Gonzalez versus Trevino, a fairly convoluted case dealing with the evidence of plaintiff. Plaintiff requires to prove that they were wrongfully arrested in Texas, and another convoluted opinion that will require some time, and it's not really a big enough deal to spend a lot of time on it here. So, setting that aside, and now they're done for the day, according to reports at least. That's the end of their decisions for the day. The Supreme Court. So we don't have the Trump presidential immunity decision that may cause rioting and police cars to burn because of Democrats. You know how they are. They're violent. I think violent is that's one of the words that you might use to describe those people. Now, we were talking about the WNBA, a little bit about the WNBA, and I did a little bit of reading on the subject yesterday, because there's a front page Washington Post story on the WNBA frequently, because it's really important to the WNBA, because women play in the WNBA. And now Caitlin Clark, who became a college women's basketball hero and legend, and with good reason, she's now playing in the WNBA, and you've noticed perhaps that she has been assaulted violently again and again in attacks that some say are racist, some say are sexist, some say are because Caitlin Clark is straight, that is her sexual orientation, and not a lesbian, which is the sexual orientation of a great many women in the WNBA. Now, the ascendance of Caitlin Clark from college women's basketball to the WNBA, professional women's basketball, has focused a lot of attention on the sport that has been largely ignored because, for about 5 different reasons. But I saw yet another Washington Post story yesterday, and I thought, well, isn't this interesting? They keep making this a front page story, and then I was looking to see if there was anything broader. It's what I do. I research stuff. If there was anything broader that I should be looking at involving all this, and it turns out there is. And I found the story of a very interesting woman who played in the WNBA, Candace Wiggins. Candace Wiggins is her name. And I found an article from a couple of years ago about Candace Wiggins because she left the WNBA. And she left the WNBA because of all of the abuse that she suffered at the hands of the big, strong, mean-spirited, nasty lesbian women in the WNBA. And it's not just incidental that they're lesbians, because Candace Wiggins, who again was, and she's an interesting case. Her father was a professional baseball player, and she became a professional basketball player. Candace Wiggins, 2017 article, ESPN. Candace Wiggins called her experience playing in the WNBA toxic. A major reason the former number 3 draft pick says she's abruptly retired at the age of 29. She abruptly retired at the age of 29 in, I think, 2016 is when she actually retired from the WNBA. But she did an interview or two, and she was asked about her experience in the WNBA, and she told people about her experience in the WNBA. And it wasn't a very flattering depiction of the WNBA, and that's why it didn't go any farther than an interview or two. In an interview with the San Diego Union Tribune, Wiggins called the culture in the league very, very harmful, she said, and said she was targeted throughout her 8-year career for being both heterosexual and popular nationally. Well, doesn't that sound familiar? Because now we've got a young woman, and she has the added burden of being Caucasian. Now, Candace Wiggins is African-American, I always forget to mention. She said, I wanted to play 2 more seasons of WNBA, but that experience didn't lend itself to my mental state. It was a depressing state in the WNBA. It's not watched. Our value is diminished, she said. It's not watched, meaning people don't watch it on TV. People don't buy tickets and go see it. Our value is diminished. It can be quite hard. I didn't like the culture inside the WNBA. And without revealing too much, she said, it was toxic for me. My spirit was being broken. Wiggins said she was treated poorly by a majority of players in the league from the day she was drafted by the Minnesota Lynx in 2008 after a notable career at Stanford University, where she still holds records, I think, and went into their Hall of Fame. My being heterosexual and straight and being vocal in my identity as a straight woman was huge, Wiggins told the San Diego Union Tribune. I would say 98% of the women in the WNBA are gay women. It was a conformist type of place. There was a whole different set of rules the other players, would apply to me because I was straight. In a follow-up interview, the San Diego Union Tribune, Wiggins said that she meant to use the 98% figure as an illustration, you see. And says there is no published data on the number of gay players in the WNBA. Now, kind of an amazing story. She says that People deliberately trying to hurt me all the time, she said, because she's straight and they're not. This is, WNBA, WNB gay, just amazing stuff. I had never been called the B word so many times in all my life as I was in my rookie season. I'd never been thrown to the ground so much. That keeps happening to who? The message was, we want you to know we don't like you. Now, again, this is an African-American woman, grew up as the daughter of a professional baseball player, and she went into professional sports and played. And she's a very nice-looking woman. She's 5'11", I think, and athletic, and a very nice-looking person. And she speaks very well, based on what I'm reading here. She said whether one agrees or disagrees with the comments made recently by former player, or whether or not seen as an experience. Look, this is the WNBA, and this is what we're watching now in the WNBA with Caitlin Clark. And when I found this article, I thought, wow, now add being white on top of that. Let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Bob, calling from Munster, Indiana. Oh, Bob, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, what's up, buddy?
Not a lot, just the usual.
Yeah, I know. It's great to be on vacation this week. I get to call in.
That is great.
I got a couple things for you. I called in mainly because I tried to call in yesterday, but I called in too late. I want to try and get to my Monty Python thing with you, but I called in because I can't believe how these people don't see how the nation, everyone doesn't see how hypocritical they are about what they do and what they say. They don't want the 10 Commandments in their public schools, in their school system, yet they attack people like me and others who are opposed to, I go into the public library and here's this huge display right there at the checkout of all this LGBTQ and, 75 other letters and symbols after it, books right there for the kids, including genderqueer, and everything else in there except for the Bible. It just amazes me that they think that we are that stupid and that we're not going to recognize that. I mean, they got some big kahunas, whether they want them or looking for them or getting surgery for them or whatever the case may be, that we're just going to let this go and we're not going to fight this. I really, really am amazed by that.
Well, it's a word that were it not for double standards, they'd have no standards at all.